We're gonna win it all. Cue the music anytime now, Lynn. Good. Let's get that. Good morning and welcome to the Upper Deck, part of the Pinstripe Chronicles family. I'm Lynn. I'm with my amazing partner, Ciara. And if it's a little bit confusing that we're on a Saturday, that's because it is a little confusing. We'll be back on our Sunday regimen next week. Ciara, how are things going?
Pretty good. I can't complain. You know, the Yankees, they broke my heart the Sunday before the All-Star break. I was so confident that we were going to sweep the Orioles. We had it in the bag, and then last minute they took the rug right out from underneath us. But we came out last night. We showed up. We won 6-1 against the Rays. And I know, some people may say that's not a big deal. It's just the Rays, but they beat us in the series previous. So it felt good to win last night. I really want to take this series. We have 63 games left, and Garrett Cole looked great last night. In his last 4 starts, he has a 2.95 ERA, and I can't ask for anything better from him right now, especially with how his season started.
All of that and a bag of chips, and this all-star break, and our friends are piling in. Good morning, Nosebleed. Hey, Ken, good to see you. Thanks for switching it up with us. Good to have you here. I'm not even interested in talking about the week that was, other than talking about how it really seemed to benefit some, and really no effect on others. So let's just hey NFE, hey FJ. Oh, you guys are so good keeping pace with us. So glad to have you here. So let's get right to it with the with everything we loved about last night. And from here on out, it's all day games. So I wish I knew that I had to ask for Monday off. I feel like my voice is a little cracky right now. I might be coming down with something. But just kidding. If you're watching, oh, you're coughing. Oh, got the Yankee flu coming up. Hey, Michael, good to see you. Yeah, so in terms of the hot dogs, you just laid it right down, Ciara. Garrett Cole was, back, baby, last night. You saw it coming off of him. And it was almost like it was if there's ever a version of a chill Cole, it was a chill Cole last night. There was something even ballet about his movements. Is he doing Tai Chi pitching? Is it what's going on? But I loved it, and I mean, just spot on with everything. Used his full range. One hit, doesn't get any hotter than that. Ciara, you and I were talking before we jumped on, that the one thing that I was not concerned about, but getting to the 6th inning, because his pitch count was so high, earlier than usual. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, it can be concerning because we're used to having Garrett Cole go into the 7th or 8th sometimes. At least last season we were. It's something that Cole and Rodon both need to kind of figure out because they're both struggling with high pitch counts early in the game. But the difference is Garrett Cole is still shoving. He had 8 strikeouts last night. He has 34 so far on the season with 6 starts. So he's gotten a later start than all the other pitchers, and he's already climbing that ladder. And like I said, 2.95 ERA the last 4 games. First two starts of his 6 were obviously very rough, but those were still technically his spring training because he was, we kind of rushed him back. So it was really nice to see that version of Garrett Cole last night, even with the high pitch count. And it was also nice to see that moment where Austin Wells came out to kind of calm Cole down, because I know Wells was never his catcher last season. So they're still working on that relationship. And now that Trevi's out, Cole is forced to work with Austin Wells. So that could be really good for both of them.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And speaking of Wells having to calm Cole down, um, so Nosebleed brought it up. What was up with that time clock violation? So so Cole is hot dog in a couple of ways this week, because he got hot and pretty damn lucky he wasn't tossed. Um, you want to break that down, Ciara? What happened there?
You know what? I still don't understand the call, the pitch clock violation on Cole, but they called it, and that's automatically a ball for the guy at the plate. Um, I didn't. I actually had walked away at that moment, and when I came back, that's when Austin Wells was calming Cole down. So that was very interesting to see. But you know what? It didn't cost us. That's what matters at the end of the day. Cole only gave up 1 run, and if I'm remembering correctly, he only gave up 1 hit. So no, that's a lie. He definitely gave up more than 1 hit. He gave up 1 run, but he looked really good. Okay, those 8 strikeouts, they show you that Garrett Cole is on his way back, and we have nothing to worry about when it comes to Cole. We have 3 games left. Cole is going to be solid for every single one of his outings. I'm not worried about Cole whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was so great. Not great that Trevi's injured, but it's really good that he's getting used to Wells the way he had to with Rortvet, who he had to face at the plate last night. And it sort of gives the Yankee management, if they're listening, a lane to open up to get away from the battery thing that we talked about. I think it was even last week's show about, switching things up with pitchers and catchers when something's just not right. Um, and so, yeah, Michael, to that point, you're right. He can work with any pitcher, and and I think this is a good thing in the sense that hopefully the front office realizes that, and Boone realizes that. You might realize that Ciara went away. I'm sure she'll be back in a hot second. Um, I noticed that if you did that she was frozen for a minute, but she's defrosted and back.
My goal is to be like Uncle Tats as much as possible every week and just have as many technical issues as possible. So.
Oh yeah, well that was me at the top of the show, so you already have competition with just me alone. But and so let's see, what's Ken's take on Cole? Took long doing his warm up pitches. Never seen a pitch clock. Oh, so it was related to that. Frankly, I pivoted to you because I also stepped away to go to the powder room.
No, and that's actually really weird, Ken, because I've never seen that called before either. And that's where I get so frustrated with the MLB sometimes, is they always come up with these new rules every season, but they never go through how they're going to mitigate these rules. And it feels like in certain games, they just decide they're going to call random things. And that irritates me. Every ump should be on the same page before the season starts about all the calls, and it should be called consistently across the league.
Absolutely. Yeah, and Michael, you're right. I don't think there's a worry about Cole either. It's just something to note that he's back 99.9%.
Yeah, he gave up 6 hits last night, 1 walk, 8 Ks. You can't be upset about that at all.
Yeah, and Jared, it sure was. Thanks for joining. Can we get 3 more of those? Is that greedy? um, so so Cole, most definitely a hot dog. You know who else was a hot dog? Volpe. Anthony
Mhm.
Volpe was a hot dog. He graduated from a mini dog last week to this. Very solid outing for him last night, and one could only hope that. And I mean, I think we're all pretty confident he was in the gym all day, every day during the All-Star break, but that he's made some adjustments that are going to stick. What's your take?
Yeah, so we had him in the, or at least I had him in the doghouse last week, halfway, and then Sunday I was so upset with him because Sunday evening, because Sunday during our show I said he's halfway in the doghouse because his defense has been fantastic, and then and then he
Oh
goes
yeah.
out there against Baltimore and completely makes me a liar. So I was so upset with Anthony Volpe. But it looks like he took in all the criticism. He was working in the cages, maybe doing something, because he came out swinging last night. That bases clearing double was everything we've been needing from him. And that's where his speed comes into play too, getting that double at that time. I wish he would have taken Alex Verdugo to the batting cages with him and, made him work with him so we can get them both back on pace. But yeah, I was very happy with Anthony Volpe last night. Couldn't ask for a better game from him.
Yep. Yep. Really, really good to see. And then you had one more hot dog, didn't you?
Yeah, so my hot dog, because the other two are obvious, is Austin Wells. So Austin Wells, even though he wasn't like super producing last night, he's the first New York Yankee since Jeter in '06 to have 3+ walks and 1+ run with 0 technical at bats in one game. So shout out to Wells for getting on base, because if that was Juan Soto getting those walks, we'd be, singing his praises. So shout out to Wells, because at the end of the day, he got on base. He got himself into into scoring position to help our team out. So I'm happy with it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, good call. And FJ is saying it was a
Mhm.
very good win considering, yeah. Yeah, he certainly we did hurt his ERA just a little bit last night. So
Which is funny because he's on the chopping block to be traded. So you think that he would be auditioning. And typically, like FJ says, we just faced him in the last series and he kicked our butt. But last night we had his number. So good for us.
yeah. And so speaking of that, speaking of being on the chopping block, uh, let's go to the doghouse. Um, so we have two individuals that come to mind my mind who need to put some ink to paper at the end of the season. You mentioned one of them just a minute ago, Ciara. Um,
Listen,
we have
Alex Verdugo is
all the way,
killing me.
we have
He's
him all the way in that doghouse at this
mhm.
point. Like even
Yeah, because
yeah, go
he
ahead.
listen, he has career low numbers at this point, and I was expecting a lot out of Verdugo coming into this season. The first quarter, I'm not even going to give him the first half. The first quarter of the season, he was fantastic. Ever since that game against Boston and Fenway, he has been trash. Okay, he has a 663 OPS right now. And I'm sorry, like I know DJ LeMahieu's playing terribly right now, but I expected way more out of Verdugo than I ever did out of DJ LeMahieu coming into this season. Um, I don't know what's wrong with Doogie right now. And I'm sorry, but Sunday, and I know he's typically has great defense, but Sunday, that catch it was a 97% catchable catch. 90 that's I don't know why I said it like that. He had a 97% chance of catching that ball.
Yeah.
So I know Clay Holmes, he put us in the predicament, but he gave us 2 pitches to get out and still win, and we screwed it up.
You've mentioned last week twice now. I've been in therapy all week about it. That's to me, that whole last game was. I'd rather the disastrous loss.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather the we got just so toasted that you just have to say F it and move on. This is worse when it gets down to these things this close when you had it, and it taught me, shame on you for sitting back all chilled out in the eighth inning, thinking, okay, I'll wait around for the post game, see what they got to say. Shame on me for that. But no, that one just really, really hurt. And Nosebleed said it was actually 99%.
Well, that's even worse.
Yeah. And so Nosebleed, you and Jared are saying the same thing. Jared, you're so tired of DJ. I think we all have LeMahieu fatigue syndrome. There's no doubt about it. Um, yeah, it's sad to see. He's a two-time batting champion, and but even his moving defensively just isn't what it used to be. So and that's showing itself a bit more and more as the season goes on. And I'm wondering, oh, are we heading towards seasonal injury time of year? Just about, actually. So, and just keeps going down to the ever burning question of, are they going to eat another big contract?
Yeah, we actually had this conversation last night on one of the Yankee Twitter Spaces. Because here's my take on it, and this might upset people, but when we signed DJ LeMahieu, nobody was upset about it. Everybody wanted him. He was coming off of that hot season. Unfortunately, he did benefit from the juice ball error. Uh, so we saw a different version of DJ. And then after that, he's proven to be injury prone the last few seasons, right? His foot hasn't been the same since 2022. Unfortunately, he's not aging very well. He just turned 36. It's one of those things where they're just going to have to Josh Donaldson him because he's hurting the team at this point. And it's really sad to see because I've been rooting for DJ all season. But last night, it was written all over his face. I don't know if there's any coming back for him this season whatsoever.
Right. Yeah. And it's hard because I think everyone has. I'm speaking for the entire Yankee universe. Why do I keep saying everyone? I need to stop that. But I think it's fair to say that a good many of us have, a fondness for DJ. We have good memories of DJ. But it's time to sever the ties. It's just going to be a matter of at what detriment. Like, is that going to mean less money spent and more, dumpster diving? But frankly, if I had the choice, I'm like, sometimes you find a treasure in the dumpster.
Mhm.
I'm leaning towards dumpsters. This is the state of mind I'm in right now. I'm choosing dumpsters over two-time batting champions, but it's time, and it's a bit like, um, I think it's also best. I'm now deciding what's best for DJ. So come to me for all the life coaching you need, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, that's the thing.
You
Like,
saw it on his face.
yeah, and you can hear the boos just raining down on him last night, and that's always brutal, especially from Yankees fans. Like they give it to you so much worse. Um, it sucks because he has been such a solid defender for us, and in the past, his bat has been great. He should have been our leadoff guy this year, but he just isn't that anymore. Like I think after I said it, no one expected him to age this poorly this quickly, but it's one of those things where it's happened, and we have to move on from it.
Yeah, and
That's 100% true. And you know what, Nosebleed? It makes me so mad because because as the biggest Gleyber Torres fan there is, people take that year for Gleyber Torres and that's what they projected his next few years off of. And that's not fair to Gleyber Torres and that's not fair to the fans. They set him up for failure with that from the beginning.
yep. Michael, I feel your heart there. Um, can they get him to just gracefully retire? Um, I don't know what's going to happen behind closed doors, if in fact there is a closed door conversation. Um, I feel like DJ's not one to make comments or step forward to a microphone unless it's shoved up his nose and then he says 3 words. Um,
Yeah.
but I just hope it's done. It's done well. And Joan, hey, thanks for joining. Joan's chiming in with the most expensive insect control killer.
Yeah, and unfortunately for DJ, it looks like the Yankees are shopping for an infielder. So, and I know for the first half of the season, everybody wanted Gleyber Torres gone, but at this point, third base is the bigger issue. Um, Not just for the fielding, but because the bat. We need another bat in the lineup. So
Mm-hmm.
the Yankees are shopping an infielder. So we'll see what happens. Maybe DJ will just ride the bench. Who knows?
That's right. And in those times of desperation, he's at least there to pinch hit. But
100%.
um, Yeah, but maybe he'll make the decision on his own. And as far as Glaber goes, he's really the one that, his hand's going to be forced one way or another.
Mhm.
So, DJ really, I mean, Glaber really has to figure it out. I think you even agree with that, Ciara.
Yeah, the one thing I will say is Glaber is trending upwards. Like he obviously started off the season terribly. He looked terrible. He's trending upwards. His errors have slowed down. And I would just like to point out, so Glaber Torres has 11 errors. Anthony Volpe has 10. So the entire infield defense has not been that great this season. But I do see him turning it around. And I also see Volpe, obviously he's improving, coming out of his slump. So hopefully this is the second half that they need. And hopefully they drag Verdugo with them, because Verdugo is the one that I just cannot. Boston fans, they were right. Like this is the Verdugo that they said we were going to get.
Mhm.
And it's very hard to watch because I wanted Verdugo to prove everybody wrong.
Yeah, and he clearly, didn't do anything of improvement during the break.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's disappointing because, I love what he's brought to the team in all the other ways. And but he's even missing some questionable plays in the field, more than he had been at first. So that's another one that I don't know if the ink's going to the papers with the Yankees. So something spectacular better start being evident in the next 63 games. So, and by the way, happy 100th game day, everybody. That's the real reason why we switched it for today. We just thought it'd be cool that today's
Like the 100th day of school. It's the 100th
exactly.
day of baseball.
Exactly. What's a teacher? Always a teacher. Yes, exactly. But yeah. So hey, Greg, good to see you, Greg. And I think I also saw this from Michael. Waldo was the answer at third base. Solid defense. Um, of course, they ruined another young player. Um,
I do like Waldo's defense. I like, and I've argued with people about this. I like him better at third than I do at second. I think he plays much better defense at third. However, I think Waldo's issue is they keep switching him back and forth in the
yes,
switch hitting, and it's screwing him up.
yes,
And also he came out so hot in the beginning of the season. That's not the Oswaldo Cabrera you're going to get consistently. It was great to have, and I love seeing it, but I just don't think that's going to consistently be Oswaldo. And then Joan, I do agree about Verdugo. He's not a cleanup hitter. With Stanton being out, Verdugo has been exposed, and they need to figure it out. Hopefully Stanton will be back sooner rather than later. He is already, running the bases. Running the bases, he's Stanton and fielding. But I think once he's back in the lineup and they move Doogie down to 5 or 6, he'll look a little bit better. But 100%, he's trying to do too much in that 4 spot.
right, right. Which also is a positive in his, in a negative way,
Yeah.
because he's trying. He wants he wants to. He's feeling bad that he's not, and he's
Mhm.
pressing. In addition to what you said, Joan, which I also agree. And so, and FJ had a fair point that he was always a utility player, and that's the other
Mhm.
thing. Um, you know, running, rotating around, um, and also just not playing consistently. More so now, obviously. And Birdie, by the way, might have some days tagged on to the IL because there was an additional unrelated injury.
Yeah, there's been some setbacks with Birdie and his recovery. There's been some there's been like no progress with Anthony Rizzo. Trevi was looking good, but it sounds like there might be some setbacks with him now. Right now, the only two that I can really count on coming back are Stanton and Clark Schmidt. Everybody else is very questionable.
Except for, thank God, JD Davis is back.
You know what? I keep forgetting he's on the team. So even before he got the flu, I forgot he was on the
I
team.
mean, thank God that, I mean, I don't know, he's going to be in some science journals for the longest stomach flu on record. But, at least he's back.
I mean, glad he's
And no
coming
one
back.
ever. I mean, what are we really doing here, folks? And so that was it for the. Yeah, and that brought us right into the down dogs. So all the usual suspects, right? We're seeing that Trevino, it's no 10-day IL. I think we all know that.
I think we knew that when they said it was a 10-day IL. Like we knew it right away.
Right. And Schmidt is looking well enough to um
So he's throwing his first bullpen today. It's going to be 20 pitches off the mound, which is a huge step for Clark Schmidt. However, the gut punch to me for me was when they said he'll be ramped up for the end of the season, which means we probably won't see Clark until the postseason, which means he's most likely going back to the bullpen, which I guess is fine because he's been there. He can handle the pressure. Um, I'm just sad that we didn't get to see Clark Schmidt this season. Going into the season, I was the biggest Clark Schmidt supporter. I was like, this is going to be your breakout pitcher. He's going to take a shot at that Cy Young award. And he was great before he went down. He was giving Luis Gil a run for his money. So
right.
I'm very excited to see him come back, even if it's just in the capacity of the bullpen in the playoffs.
So Nosebleed saying Trevi is out until maybe September.
Okay. I mean, I didn't see the full update. I did see them say it was a setback for Trevi,
Yeah.
for Birdie, and that Rizzo, there was basically nothing going on. Rizzo, I think it's just, he's on that wrong side of 30, and it's hard to recover at that point. But I'm happy for Clark Schmidt. I wish there was an update on Cody Poteet. Haven't seen anything for him, and that was only supposed to be a 15-day IL. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. And then, my favorite guy, Thin Carlo. He was running the bases. He's fielding. He should be back. They're going to make a decision this weekend on if he needs to do a rehab or not. I think he should, just so that we're not rushing him out and getting upset when he doesn't perform. But we should have him back by August, honestly.
Our Stanton. just reminding. we gotta share. Sharing's caring. Yeah, and you know what? Maybe it was my imagination or what my eyes wanted to see. I think he was taking those bases a little bit faster than usual. I think
Fast Carlo.
Fast Carlo. Hashtag it. Yeah, I think he was going at least like 2 miles per hour. So it's an uptick. It's an uptick. I'll take it. And so yeah, so we're really with the Austin Wells is really the lead of the pack, and
which
yeah.
you never wish injuries on anybody, but most of us have been calling for Wells to have more at bats. So this is what he needs, and I 100% am a Trevi supporter, so it's sad, but also maybe we'll see Narvaez and see what he can do, because Wells can't catch every game. They're going to have to use him at some point.
Right. And they're not moving Rice back to catcher.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's even a question. And we do have Efros reinstated at least, so he's back, and ready to be called up. So I'm not sure where he stands with options though. But
I think Efros might have one option. I can triple check that right now.
Yeah. Just curious about that, but he's back in a time that we really need the arms, and so Schmidt is going to throw that 20 pitch bullpen session, which is great. It's a really good step, but I remember when Cole took his first bullpen session and how long it took to actually see him. So I think we're looking at postseason Schmidt. But it would be great if it could be a little sooner.
So Scott Efros has 3 minor league options left.
Oh, okay.
So good. They'll probably let him rehab longer.
Yeah, that's good. And the chat's hungry about the trade deadline that's approaching. I know it's the talk of every show in town. Mm-hmm. So FJ, I see, and Joan mentioned Paredes up above. I do remember that. FJ says, I don't want the Yankees to trade Jones or Dominguez for Paredes. Oh, so he and Joan are going back and forth.
So I'll give you guys my stance on this. I'm not sold on Paredes, right? The Yankees need another infielder. I don't know what the right option is. I'm not Brian Cashman. I'm glad I'm not Brian Cashman because that's a really like it's not an easy job. But I'm not sold on Paredes. I know the Rays have put a lot of guys up for. I was going to say auction, but that sounds terrible. But they have a lot of guys on the trade block. They have Eflin on the trade block. They have a Rosarena on the trade block. Paredes, Pete Fairbanks, like they're selling because they're not going anywhere this season. With that being said, I'm willing to trade Arias, Lombard, Hampton, all of it. And I'm also willing to trade Spencer Jones. And here's why. Because why are we going to keep Spencer Jones in the minor leagues for another 4 years? We have a stacked outfield.
Are we at hot takes?
Sorry. Yeah, probably. I was willing to trade Spencer Jones for freaking Dylan Cease at the beginning of the season. And I'm still willing to trade him because at the end of the day, we don't know who Spencer Jones is going to be when he comes up to the big leagues. And if we have to wait another 4 years to see that, that's not fair to Spencer Jones, but that's also not fair to Yankees fans. Like, why keep him in the minor leagues for another 4 years? Like, that's insane to me. And I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but that's what the Yankees like to do. So trade Spencer Jones, let him go figure it out with another team, bring us the guys that need to win the World Series this year, and then we'll worry about 2025 when 2025 comes.
Think about it tomorrow, Scarlett. Okay, yeah.
But just to wrap that all up, we need a third baseman and we need a leadoff hitter. We don't have a leadoff hitter. The Yankees haven't had a leadoff hitter since like DJ? I don't know, 2009, like an actual leadoff hitter. So to me, that should take priority.
So let's see. FJ's NFE's weighing in. Jones and you know, again, NFE's always the voice of reason. We didn't know who Jeter, Bernie Williams, and Posada were either, but
I mean, yeah, NFE. But at the same time, I feel like they're hyping up Spencer Jones so much, and to me, I feel like the way that they're hyping him up, I'm going to be let down.
And Michael's countering with his strikeout rate.
Yeah, his strikeout rate is terrible. So he needs to figure that out before even talking about bringing him up to the big leagues because right now he's in Double-A, and the argument is made constantly that Double-A is much harder than Triple-A. So,
yep, and
I'm with you, NFE. We had to make this for 8 games. Yankees fans are basing our future off of 8 games where we were completely out of the postseason. We had no shot at postseason. So we weren't playing for anything at that point. There was no pressure. Did he play great? Yeah, of course he did. But we can't base our future off of Dominguez's 8 games.
Yep. And he, you know, and expect him to be the second, you know, coming and, you know, to save the world of baseball and perhaps the world, you know. So I certainly, you know, if he's a Martian, let him go to the MLB Martian League Baseball. But if there's something that he, you know, that needs that kind of a high level trade, and it's something that we have good, you know, info about, you know, I don't think anyone's not up for grabs. And so, and Yankee fans will whine because that's, you know, we do what we do, but whatever it takes, you know, to get, we got Soto, you know, is this the only year that we get at least one of the things on our wish list, you know, and that's it. I do know that the Yankees are looking at Garrett Crochet. I'm sure that's been discussed in other chats across.
But that's Spencer Jones. The White Sox are only going to trade with the Yankees if they get Spencer Jones. That's what it was for Dylan Cease. That's what it's been for everything in the past. And the White Sox are selling too because, let's face it, the White Sox are in a rebuild era right now. They're not going anywhere. They're the worst run organization in baseball. Like, they have all this talent and they don't know what to do with it. But if you want Garrett Crochet, if you want Michael Kopech, if you want Luis Robert Jr., if you want even one of those guys, you have to give up Spencer Jones or they're not going to do it.
And to the point you made earlier, if it has to be Spencer Jones, it has to be Spencer Jones. So the question really is Crochet worth it?
No, he's not. He's not, because what's going to happen is the White Sox have already said that Crochet is on an innings limit, right? So you're looking at another Luis Heel issue when you bring him over. So now Crochet has to go back to the bullpen. after being a starter all season, and you're not really solving any issues at that point. You're actually creating more for yourself. Now,
Right.
Michael Kopech, I think he could be a good addition to the bullpen. Is he worth Spencer Jones? Probably not. But at the end of the day, I'm just trying to win a damn World Series.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we have to do our short term goals before world domination, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and we know, and Joe and I put Joe's comment up on another thing, which is, yeah, Dominguez might be better. He's younger. I mean, Verdugo's young too, but he might be. But we need to see him in action, much more than the small 9 game sample size we got earlier. Um, and so, but I also want to bring out that the bullpen, also needs a little something something. And so, if we don't get another good arm for the starters, what about promising good arms for the bullpen again? I mean, that's where Schmidt came from.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I've been hearing and reading that, the names are, let's see, Mason Miller, and Tanner Scott, Carlos Estevez are floating
I,
around the universe.
I would take Tanner Scott in a heartbeat. Mason Miller has elbow issues, and every time we trade with the Oakland A's, it turns out terribly for us. So that right there, we should just say no to the Oakland A's because there's just like some bad juju there,
Oh,
where
yes.
they just every time we trade with them, it just ends up poorly. Tanner Scott, though, that could be a good trade. However, I want more than just Tanner Scott if that's what we're doing. You got to throw in more than just Tanner Scott. Um, but yeah, like I don't know what the right answer is. Like I know we need bullpen help, but I personally think, like I said, leadoff hitter, third base is our priority. And when it comes to the bullpen, they're not terrible. Okay, like we need a little bit of help, but like Matt Blake has put on a clinic with the most random dudes in the MLB. Tonkin, Hill, Cousins actually looks really good, and honestly, Tommy Kahnle looked great last night. And I need that version of Tommy Kahnle all the time because I was humbled a little bit last night. I thought Tommy Kahnle would have a higher ERA than he does. He's a sub-3. But I think with Tommy Kahnle, what the issue is he always gives up those big home runs. It was one against Boston and it was one against Baltimore, and those
Yes.
just hurt so much more. And that's where my beef is with Tommy Kahnle at this point.
Right. Yeah. But I was very relieved to see how he was as a reliever last night. And so may he stick that way. And so, when you look at I was taking a look at the bullpen budget. It looks like our most rusted guy is Caleb Ferguson today. So, and people are pivoting to today's lineup in the chat there.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now because it's an early game. So,
And we have Nestor on the bump. So,
and we're home.
and we're home. Right. So that should mean good Nestor, long Nestor.
Mm-hmm. Nasty
And
master.
nasty. Give us a nasty. Yeah. Oh, and so Jared is looking at the lineup. Whoops. Not.
I have it pulled up if you want me to read it off real quick.
Yeah. Let me hear it.
All right, so Nestor Cortez, he's our starter. We're at home, so I expect the nastiest Nestor possible. But leading it off, Ben Rice playing first base, batting second, DHing Juan Soto, batting third, our captain playing right field, Aaron Judge. Batting cleanup, it's like the Yankees were listening to us and they took Verdugo out of cleanup. Batting cleanup and catching is Austin Wells. Batting fifth, playing second base, we have my favorite guy, Gleyber Torres. Batting sixth, where he should be, that's where his historical best numbers are, Alex Verdugo playing left field. Seventh, we have Anthony Volpe playing shortstop. Batting eighth, we have our savior from the Baltimore series, Trent Grisham playing center field. And rounding off the bottom of the lineup, we have DJ leg ground out playing third base.
You mentioned Grisham in a positive way just now, and so my hot take this week was going to be we really shouldn't be hating on Grisham as much as we have been.
Mm-hmm.
He was not a dumpster dive pick. He was maybe like trashes out for the morning pick, but he has come through in the clutch, more than just a few times, and not so long ago was the most recent. So I don't understand all the hate on Grisham. I understand that we are like, hard nuts to crack when anyone new comes on. But he's producing far more than some of the ones that will defend to the death at the moment, and all we could have is the moment. And so, I am not cringing when I see him in the lineup. He's a Gold Glover. I think multiple Gold Glove, and has shown that in play with a few minor exceptions. Not so minor, but a few exceptions. And so, sorry, I am not hating Grisham in this particular time in our season.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think Grisham as a bench piece was a great addition, and he was a package with Juan Soto. So it's not like we had to give up the whole farm to get this guy to play the bench. And just going off of your hot take, we wouldn't have won the Baltimore series without Trent Grisham. That's how productive he was in Baltimore. We would have lost that series without him.
Yep.
So
Great
we got to
point.
give credit when credit's due. And honestly, he's a better addition than Jemai Jones. What the hell has Jemai Jones done for us lately? Nothing.
Who? What?
Exactly.
Yeah, nothing. And Joan, I 100% agree. But out of necessity, he's done the thing, right? I think, once Stanton's back, maybe there'll be a little bit less. It depends on whether they just want to, DH him and Judge is back more, or it's a little back and forth. He'll be filling in as needed. So I agree with that, but I'm glad we had him when we had him. And so, that was just really my point. And you had another hot take, didn't you? I know I do. I just had to remember it.
I think I gave all my hot takes through the different segments because I'm always giving hot takes. That's just who I am. But my hot take will be this: Giancarlo Stanton is going to have the greatest second half in baseball when he returns. He is going to be absolutely on fire, unstoppable. He's not going to touch the outfield because they're going to keep those skinny little legs of his healthy. And he is going to carry us through the postseason, and he's going to be the World Series MVP.
Wow. You ended with the hottest flame. Okay. Oh, there's steam coming off of that. I'm gonna sit and enjoy it and open up my pores to get a free facial for that one. Okay, so I'm all in on that. And so Jared,
Giancarlo Stanton, Jared, you heard me. He's going to be the World Series MVP.
she said what she said, Jared.
With my whole chest.
That's it. And I agree, and Joan hopes so, and yes. I mean, who wouldn't want to see that? I mean, that would be like the comeback of the comebacks. And so
all the fans who said he was clogging up the lineup in the beginning of the season, who had so much to say about him and that are all missing him right now, they're going to eat their words.
Yep, 100%. Look, you heard it here. Keep the receipt. Game number 100 show. That's where you heard it. So just a little quick mention about some farm dog news. So a major league record, was not broken, but this was another example of a combined no hitter that ended in a walk-off home run. What happened last night was just the fourth time at the major league level that this has happened. So this happened last night in Hudson Valley, the Hudson Valley Renegade, and it was a combined no-hitter that included Kyle Carr, who was our number 11 prospect, one step above Ben Rice, by the way. Trent Sellers, who we signed almost exactly this time last year as a free agent, and Rock Riggio. Now, what's interesting about Rock Riggio being associated as the last pitcher of that game is that he was our number 18 prospect as a second baseman. So what's up with that, everybody? Yeah, Joan, I agree. It's like a movie character name or a cop show title, Rock Riggio. Um, so so is that just literally an IKF move in that moment? I don't know, but is this a potential
I
um
think so. I'm looking at the article, and I think Rock Riggio just hit the walk off home run. It was Houston Morial who had the ninth inning save, I guess you could say.
Oh, okay. Heard it.
It's a really weirdly written article though, so I totally yeah. But that would totally be a New York Yankees move to do that.
Yeah, okay. Oh well, you could squelch that conspiracy theory. So Lynn shouldn't be reading things late at night. Okay, so there's the Lynn snafu. Um,
But Rock Reggio is a really nice name. I really like to say it, and that'll be a nice jersey to have in the future.
it sure would. And just think what John Sterling's calls would have been
Oh,
for
John.
that. It just begs for a home run call. Now that I know that he is gonna be at bat. Oh, Lynn.
They're listening in. They're like, we're gonna make this guy a pitcher now.
I mean, it's not a it's been done before. So and I took a look at the draft tracker. Um and so how's everyone feeling about this pick? These
Listen,
picks so far very heavy on pitchers.
the Yankees loaded up on pitchers. To me, that says that they're getting ready to make some trades. Okay, they loaded
Mhm.
up. So, but that's like the Yankees' motto the past few years. I feel like they load up on pitchers. They get one position guy that they're really high on, and they really like Vanderbilt. Can I just say that? Like, what is
Yes. What is it with that?
so they must just have a really good program that the Yankees like. But yeah, they loaded up on pitchers, and I don't hate it. Do what you got to do.
I'm not mad at it either. It's been the cry of my lifetime. The best of times, worst of times. And so and we're in the age of the epidemic of the Tommy John surgery. So yeah, let's bake that in. Let's bake as many cakes on that as possible. So so we'll see. I just thought I wanted to give that a quick mention. So that was literally it for the farm dog news. It's a sleepy week, the All-Star break, but the chat always brings things to talk about, and so do we.
I was
um
lost without baseball for those few days.
I was like, am I really gonna binge watch sitcoms from the 90s right now? Um, so, but hey, Michael brings up a good point about Stanton. Yeah, we have to have a little bit of understanding. Something that's not in our wheelhouse for any of us. You wouldn't be a Yankee fan, if you wouldn't be like concerned day one. But yeah, he's going to need a little bit of time, but he's also king of the postseason. So and really that's the mentality they better be in now, and I think they will be in now. So I hopefully, yeah, and he was looking really good, doing those agility drills, and running like Ciara said, running the bases. So and so here's the question though, Ciara, what do you think the decision's going to be this weekend? Is it going to be, rehab games or putting them right in for the Mets?
Listen, the Yankees aren't always the smartest, when it comes to these decisions. So I don't think they're going to rehab him. I think they're going to use one of those fancy machines that Michael K was talking about last night, where they load up the Mets pitchers' information and it's like a simulation, and that's his rehab. I think we will see him in the Subway Series, but I think Stanton is going to hit a home run in his very first at bat. So I think my guy is coming out swinging. I think our guy is coming out swinging. I think he is
Thank you.
locked in this season. And you hit it right on the head. He is the king of the postseason. As much as we all love Aaron Judge and as much as he's a great captain, he doesn't show up in the postseason. But you know who does? Giancarlo Stanton. Every single time we get to the postseason, Stanton is there. He's locked and loaded. He's ready to go. This season, Stanton will have to do alone because Soto's already proven that he can get it done in the postseason, and I think it's going to be a great ride.
That's okay. So, a couple of co-kings is all right with me.
Mhm.
Um, and Jared, you're right. Um,
Ugh.
that yeah, not loving it,
Don't the Yankees
particularly
know that
on
I have a life? Like I have
right,
things to do.
right. Yeah, and Monday, lots more people working that are going to have to figure out how to sneak the game in. But you know, if they do start Stanton and don't rehab him, the benefit would be, start early, rest all day, rest all morning, start again, maybe. But Joan wants the bubble wrap around his hammies. I'm I gotta agree. Maybe give that a try under the jersey. And I don't know. That jersey is such a crime against humanity as it is. I don't think adding some bubble wrap to it's gonna hurt the look any.
Mm-mm.
And yeah, Jared saying put some armor on those things and he's all good. Yeah, a little sheet metal around. Yeah, whatever it takes. But we don't need him running around like the Stay Puff Man either. So we got to get all the agility we could squeeze out of him.
Listen, just don't expect home runs and singles. Do not expect Giancarlo Stanton to be busting out doubles anytime soon because that's how he got hurt last time. Let my guy hit his home runs, let him hit his singles, and just be happy with it.
Right. So a little controversial, Gregory. Doogie fourth, Stanton fifth. Oh yeah. Um, I think we, talk.
I
I
don't
we
I
go
don't
ahead.
hate it. I don't hate it, Lynn, because that's how it was before Stanton went down. Jugi was seeing better pitches with Stanton behind him. So I still don't like him as cleanup. I still think he shouldn't be cleanup. But if Stanton's behind him, it's a little bit better. But I personally, I would switch it.
Yeah. I would understand not putting Stanton in cleanup right away.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe keep Doogie where he is. But then yeah, eventually I think we elevate Stanton to his spot. So oh Michael, how dare you? It's okay. You've been on point all the way through with the facts, Michael. You could get a little dig in.
But we will not stand for any Stanton slander.
No, we're letting it go for this time. Next time, we're starting to write you up, Michael. Okay. So, yep. Hey, Ally, you snuck in. Yep. So Austin Wells is in is the cleanup. Yep. So, that'll be interesting to see. I'm not mad at that at all. Um, So is there anything else that you wanted to bring up, Sierra?
No, no. I think the second half the Yankees are going to look much better. The June Blues are behind us. We finally won a series right before the All-Star break, so really cannot complain. We have 63 games left. So we're projected to win 95 like overall this season. So things are still looking good. And honestly, guys, don't eat me up for saying this, chat. But if we get the wild card spot and not the division, it's not the worst thing in the world. It really isn't. Um, would I love to win the division and have that rest time? Of course. But at the same time, I keep saying baseball is a game of momentum. So that rest could also end up biting us in the ass. So I'm just saying, Orioles don't play very well in the playoffs. So if they win the division and we don't, and we get the wild card, it might benefit us in the long run.
I think that is a perfect example of managing expectations. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, because you know what, whatever way it is, it's gonna be. You'll get the nonsense of, oh, you got all the way through because of the wild. You need the wild card to do that. It won't matter when we're lifting up that trophy in October. So who
Mhm.
cares? Let's just get there. I'm not liking on pace for 95. I want 100. So perhaps I need to take my own advice and manage some expectations better. But feeling really good. I think what I'm trying to concentrate on is the 59-40 right now.
Mhm.
And that statistically we are still the best hitting team in MLB. I can't do the numbers, but Michael K and Paulie mentioned it last night. And I'm like, really? So that was a little bit of a shocker, but I'm here for it. So I just want to mention, just real fast, women in baseball. Women in Baseball Week starts this weekend. If you missed our show last week, check it out on our YouTube channel. It was a great history lesson on women in baseball for those that are interested. And really, we should be remembering that women kept baseball going. You've all seen A League of Their Own. There have been times that women actually saved the game of baseball, like that era. But actually three historians joined us, professor level, author level. It was a very interesting chat that we had. So take some time to look at it if you're interested. But um, at the very least, if you have a young girl in your life, you're baseball fans. Everyone in this chat, we're rabid. I mean, we're high level, baseball fans. So, when it's on TV and you have your grandkid or your niece sitting next to you, and they have their nose in their iPad, hey, sit and watch this, for a minute. I'll give you $1, whatever it takes. It's just like, I mean, that was always my line. Um, whatever it takes. There's such incredible things happening in the game and at the major league level. We've talked about it. You all know about it because you are knowledgeable fans. And we got to keep it going and get it an international thing. So that's my little plug there. Hashtag Women in Baseball Week or Women in Baseball. You'll get all the information on Twitter. And just to learn more about it, I just wanted to shout that out. Um, I want to start by thanking you in the chat, our co-hosts every week. You found us even when you probably had the best reason not to find us this week. So thank you for pivoting with us. We'll be back on Sunday. And that's our regular schedule. And please, if you haven't hit the like button, please do it on your way out. And you have all our mentions there. If you don't follow us on Twitter or we don't follow you, tag us so we can. At Hit the Upper Deck, and there's Ciara and my Twitter handles. You could also find me on Facebook. So with that, and don't forget that the Yankee guys will be Monday, Wednesday, Friday this week at 10 a.m. So that'll be another pregame show this Monday with Tats, Rob, and Donald. So don't miss that. I know that there's a lot of loyal fans of them in the chat as well. So with that, everybody, as always, you'll always have a reserved seat with Ciara and me right here on the upper deck. And let's go, Yankees! Beat the Rays.